we were going through a very rough time. We were in Nashville at the time trying to build a church, and it was very difficult in those days. We had 3 children, and we were pretty much sacrificing it all for Jesus, you know. And I got sick in my body, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor said I needed a certain surgery, and I didn't have health insurance at the time. So I was just a little down, a little discouraged. And I went home one night, and I laid in my bed, and I was just going through my routine of thanking God for, for His blessing on my life. And all of a sudden, I found myself just kind of exploding on God. And I was like, instead of praying by faith, I was praying more like, okay, God, and this is what I need. I don't even know if you're going to do it, but I'm going to ask anyway. I almost felt like me and God were not on speaking terms. I don't know if anybody has ever felt that way, but I sure felt that way that night. And yet I just began to talk to Him, and I said, and God, I need work done on my car. I need work done on my body. This is Easter weekend. I got 3 little girls. I would love to have a new dress to put on them. I was just going off on God. I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, and that night I said, God, if I just even had $100, it would help me. But okay, whatever you decide to do. So I went to sleep that night, woke up the next morning, and I said, now where do I need to go take my car to get it fixed? And the Lord told me where to go. And I really took it to this place, and I walked over there, and I gave Him my keys. I went and sat down, and I was still kind of a little mad at God. And even though I loved Him with all of my heart, I was still a little frustrated. And God said, Sheryl, go over there to that McDonald's. And I was like, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry, God. And He said, no, just go over there to that McDonald's. And I went over there, and I got something to drink, and I started to come back, and I was just still fussing. And I got to where I should have turned off to go to get my car. And the Lord said, walk toward the mall, because it was a little repair shop in the mall parking lot. And I said, God, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. The malls don't open on planet Earth until 10 o'clock. And He said, just walk toward the mall. And y'all, I took 3 steps. And as I took those 3 steps, I went to put that 3rd step down, and God said, stop. And He said, look down. And I looked down, and under my right foot was that $100 bill that I had just asked God for 12 hours earlier. And I reached down, and I grabbed it, I clutched it to my chest, and I ran as hard as I could toward the mall, tears running down my face. And the devil kept telling me all along the way, it ain't real, it's counterfeit, it's play money. I wouldn't even look at it. And when I got to the door of the mall, I opened it up, and I remember my hands were shaking. And I looked at it, and here's the deal. It was as real as any $100 bill that had ever been printed. And it was just exactly what I had asked God for, but it was more than $100 could ever be to me at that moment, because I realized that God knew exactly where I was mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and I was able to do what I needed to do. But now that I look back on that in hindsight, I realized there were so many little steps along the way that I would have never gotten to had I not just slowed down and heard the voice of God. And sometimes some of us are stubborn, and we kind of go through things before God will really, we can really give God our attention. But I learned something from that day, and that was that if I would slow down, that He would help me, that He would hear me, and that He would sustain me.